everybody, and welcome back to another Piggy video. What are we doing today, Devown? Well, Piggy 2 has been delayed till next week, and this is great because that's gonna result in thousands of brand new predictions coming out from you guys, and today we're gonna check them out. But first, I'm gonna give my predictions for what is going to happen, and I think I've got a pretty good idea of what Chapter 1 is going to be, and the secret identity of TSP. So firstly, if you've been living under a rock here, Minitoon has recently posted a couple of teasers of the next chapter, and I'm not talking about the boxes one. Teaser number 1 is a screenshot of what appears to be a kitchen area. We got disgusting spinach and delicious grapes, and I'm sure those are chips, and that's probably the blood of other piggies. But I think you and I can kind of agree this is looking like a kitchen, right? This is a kitchen area for a large amount of people. It's not just your typical home kitchen, unless you're like a millionaire and you're hiring chefs 24/7. No. This is obviously a place where lots of people work. So that's interesting. And then we get another hint, and what do you know? It's a bench! Yes! Thank you, Minitoon! But look at this. Giant pillars that seem to lead down into the void below. Now, I don't think that's actually darkness down there. Down below there, I think there's gonna be a first floor. So what we're currently on is the second floor, or a balcony or something. But there is one interesting detail here. This red carpet. Where do you find large buildings with red carpets? Theaters, of course, cinemas. And that appears to be a very big prevailing theory about what this map will be. A lot of people are saying it's gonna be a movie theater map, which I'd say is probably the second most likely map. It could easily be the cinema map, but I think everyone's missing something. Well, when I say everyone, I'd say probably like 60%. Quite a lot of you have thought of this as well. And if this is true, this will confirm my theory as to who TSP is. Okay, let me explain. I think this map is going to be the safe house. You know, the safe house we've all seen back in Chapter 9 City? And it logically makes sense too, because where else would all our favorite characters go right after defeating Mr. P in the outpost? Why? They'd go back and recuperate at the safe place. They'd head back and plan what's going on next. And Minitoon needs to reintroduce us to all the previous characters somehow, and I think just going back to like a safe area is a great way to start. Because it would be ridiculous if we just walked into some random movie theater and then like the Piggy story began again. Like after all that hype, they just like, well, here we are at the cinema, and then the round starts, and it's like, well, how do we get here? Why are we here? What is going on here? So yeah, I think the best place we can go for storytelling elements is gonna be the safe place. But then, who's the infected at the safe place? Well, unfortunately, everyone, I think it's gonna be one of the living members we saw. Piggy Book 2 is gonna start with a bang. It's either gonna be Gerald, Mimi, or maybe even the twins. Maybe that's why Minitoon delayed the chapter by a week. Maybe we're starting off with like a brand new type of mechanic. And ladies and gentlemen, if it is indeed gonna be one of the characters from the safe place that is infected, and if we don't know how they became infected, if we don't know the circumstances, I am going to bet 2 $10 Roblox gift cards that George is gonna be TSP. And to explain this, we're gonna start looking at your predictions. So let's just get right into it. Okay, so this is by Sammy. I have a prediction on what the black figure is at the end of the trailer. So if you go back to when Distorted Memory came out and remember the end cutscene and how George switches back and forth between evil and good, how would he become infected if he never took a potion? He also says, oh no, not again, which means that this isn't the first time it happened. So it must have been happening before the infection broke out. And the only other way he could be evil is if he had an evil spirit in him. So what I'm thinking is somehow the evil spirit got out of George. Since when he first met him at the mall, he's fine. So the black figure could be George's evil spirit that escaped his body, or the spirit finally took over his body, and maybe that's why it's protecting a potion. Also, the figure has a small body like George. So that's kind of more evidence. That's an interesting take there. So there's another supernatural element Sammy is bringing into Piggy with the evil spirit sort of thing. And you know, to be honest, I wouldn't be surprised if that were the case. We've already got the shadow memories, and we do know TSP is a pig. There are 2 warring theories. 1, it's Penny Pig. 2, is George Pig, or maybe 3, it could be someone completely different, but I think those two would make for the most interesting story elements. And as Sammy said, during the distorted memory chapter, George did have a very, very weird psychedelic ending there, where his eyes go red and he's like, oh no, not again. And red eyes are always associated with TSP. Okay, hold on, before you grab all your torches and pitchforks and go hunting like poor 9-year-old George, let me rebut that point, because you could say that when George says, oh no, not again, he could just be referring to having the same nightmare where his eyes go red. There could be multiple recurring things that happen in a bad dream and you're like, oh no, it's happening again. Oh no, the IRS are coming for me again. And another thing, George has been around people since chapter 9, 10, 11, and 12. And those are when TSP has been the most active. So it wouldn't really make sense for when George is like being watched and monitored by people that TSP is the most active. That would be weird. However, that's why this chapter is going to be so interesting. If it is the safe place, this could give us massive evidence that George is in fact TSP, or he does get controlled by TSP sometimes. When we last saw the safe place, George Pig was alone with them while we headed off to the outpost. Then George Pig tricked the sisters into playing hide and seek, which, you know, if you say it like that, then he does really sound even more suspicious there. However, what's important is that George was alone with the others in the safe house. George, or should I say TSP, if that's the case, could have done anything. Maybe he could have spiked some food with a bit of Mr. P's potion. Maybe he let an infected Piggy in, because the safe house has been there for ages and nothing bad has happened to it. But if it does get overrun magically right after George shows up, well, I'd be a bit suspicious about that. And also the don't trust the SI, which could still be don't trust the sibling, but which one? And then during chapters 11 and 12, I don't think we hear about TSP, do we? Which would make sense if George was TSP, because he wasn't with us for that. He only got there as we were going into the plant, so he wouldn't have had time to make the notes. If one of the members mysteriously becomes infected, I mean, George was alone with them before he snuck out, I'm just saying. But let's move away from that and move on to some other predictions. This one's by Pokezilla Rogod, the Hokey Pokey Man. I feel like Willow Wolf has something to do with TSP. Look at how she dresses. TSP might not be a person, but in fact is probably a secret service, similar to the MIB films. Minitoon has also pointed out how book 2 will be focused on character development, telling us that TSP will be revealed and what they want from us players. I mean, I'd be worried if TSP wasn't revealed in freaking book 2. But this is interesting. There's a big debate going on about whether Willow Wolf is a bad guy or a good guy. I personally get the vibe that she's like a vigilante, and also I think she was the one that we were chasing back in the alleyway flashback. These predictions are pretty interesting by Willow Leaf. Her predictions are: 1. Zizzy is kidnapped and being held hostage, and Pony is coming to save her from whoever is kidnapping her. That's interesting, but we gotta remember that the majority of the story is told from the player's point of view. So unless Minitoon is gonna pull another distorted memory, which I don't think he will, that was more of a special event. So in that case, I think we'll be with them for the majority of the time. I don't think it will be multiple different plot points, like Pedro going to find the signal while Zizzy is kidnapped and Willow Wolf is off doing something. I think it's just gonna be one linear story arc. However, you're right, it certainly does look like Zizzy is being held hostage there. Number 2, Bunny was faking her death and is now helping TSP or Mr. P. Yeah, I don't know about this one. Yeah, I don't know about that one either, because that would just be too convenient for Bunny, like placing all the suspicion on Mr. P, because Mr. P specifically said he gave her a potion to infect her, and we all know Mr. P is a good guy. So yeah, I'd say it's safe to say Bunny was a good person. Doggy's backstory might have a connection with Willow Wolf. Yeah, like I said, I'm willing to bet another 2 $10 gift cards that Willow Wolf is the one that we were chasing in the alleyway that appears in the trailer. I think that's how we're gonna be introduced to Willow Wolf. 4, George wasn't seen in the trailer, so maybe he's in the safe house with the others. Or maybe he was seen in the trailer. Wait, I think he was seen in the trailer. I think it was the boat guy. I don't think that was Grandpa Pig. You look too young for that. Why is it so hard to tell? Is it Grandpa or George? I think Grandpa would have to bird with him, I don't know. Number 5, maybe George and the others were going to a new safe house because they knew they weren't safe in their old one. I think that's most likely what's gonna happen, because Minitoon needs some way to move the story along. Otherwise, just Mimi and Gerald are gonna be living in the safe house until they grow old. And how do they even get food in the safe house? Well, do they have like infected Uber Eats? The last and final chapter we will find the cure. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see because I think the reception to Piggy Book 2 is going to determine if we get a Piggy Book 3. Because on one hand, if people are less interested in Piggy Book 2 than they were in Piggy Book 1, then it'll probably give Minitoon the impression that people don't really want anymore and it's time to end the story, and it'll be a perfect point to end the story by finding the cure and curing everyone. Yippee! But then on the other hand, if the hype gets even bigger and Piggy starts competing with Adopt Me, or even just going back to where it was during like chapters 9, 10, 11, and 12, I think that would encourage Minitoon to go on and make a third book if you guys want it that much. So it'll be really interesting to see the reception. I'm excited. And what do you think, everybody? What are your predictions? I might be doing a couple more videos on this, so be sure to send me your best predictions. And also be sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in tomorrow's video. Goodbye!